We're so glad you're here. We've overtaken the Gaylord. I feel sorry. Let me repeat that. I don't feel sorry for the other people that are here because they're probably going to be in Plexus somehow soon, right? Yeah. So, I really only have to say one thing. Actually, it's thing, right? Let's do your thing. Everybody get up on your feet. Let's give Victor a big Plexus welcome. Victor Antonio.
What's happening, Plexus? All right. Wait a minute. Don't sit down. Everybody stand up. I want everybody to turn around, look at the camera, and wave at the people at home who are watching us. Give them a yo! We love you. Wish you were here. All right. How you guys doing today? Cool? All right. Now, I just got to ask the basic questions. You know how I do this. Are we in a presentation or a celebration? Clap if we're in a... I don't even need to talk to this group anymore. You're just too smart. Now, there's two ways I can do this. I can stand on that side or this side. So let's see where the love is. All right. All right. Thank you guys for the love. We're going to cover the good stuff today. And what I want to do is, I want to do something different on this one. I want to give you some good content to take back with you. Are you okay with that? Because I'm going to give you some solid content. By the way, I want to thank everybody for sending me the thang pictures. I think I got almost 1,000 of these. But there was one that just really messed me up. That one. Yes. You know, that's so wrong. That is so wrong. I mean, it's cool, but wrong, right? It's just wrong. Tanya, is she here? Wrong, right? But thank you. All right. I want to get into some material here. Let's talk about selling for a bit, if you don't mind. You know that if you go on Barnes & Noble or Amazon, what you'll find is the majority of books on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, or any bookstore are dedicated to how to sell. And there's three categories, right? There's strategy. How do you approach your market, right? There's tactics, face-to-face, belly-to-belly, one-on-one conversations we have with our customer. Then there's the psychology of selling. You're the best, you're the greatest, you can do whatever you want. There you are, right? And 98% of all the books are dedicated to what? How to sell. But there's a problem. Let's look at some of these books that are out there. All great books. Look at this one, How to Master the Art of Selling. If you're just starting in sales, you read that book and you go, man, I've just mastered the art of selling. And you feel good about yourself. So you said, I'll read this one, Spin Selling, How to Have Situation, Problem, Implication, Need, Ask Good Questions. You're like, okay, I feel smarter about selling already. Then you read Solutions Selling. You're like, okay, that's interesting. I like that too. Then you hear How Winners Sell. Yes, 21 Proven Strategies. Why 21? I don't know. But let's move on. Then the Psychology of Selling. You could do it, right? And you're like, okay, I'm fired up to sell now, right? So you get that. And then there's, oh my God, there's a Sales Bible by Jeffrey Gitomer. Great book. But then he releases another one called The Little Red Book of Selling, 12.5 Principles of Sales Greatness. So if the first one is the Bible, what does that make the second one? The New Testament. Keep up, okay? You with me? Then You read strategic selling, how to be strategic. So you read that and your brain feels real good. But then they come out with your new strategic selling, just when I got it, right? So you read that book and you're like, But then they say, no, it's about a conceptual selling. So you read that, now you feel smarter. But then they say, we got the new conceptual selling. Okay, I think I got it, I think I'm good at sales. Results selling, right? Here goes, see you at the top, my man, my mentor, Zig Ziglar. Give it up. Read that. Oh, I love that. Yazoo, Mississippi man, if you know what I mean. I love him. You read that? You read that? How to ask questions, how to talk to decision maker. By the way, in a home, who's the decision maker, the man or the woman? Fellas, don't even argue. Let it go, right? Then we sell them very important officers. Then we got to do some cold calling. You read that and you're getting all... Hope is not a strategy. 6 keys to winning the complex sale. So you read that and you're like, okay, I'm full of hope. How to master the complex sale. But then the guy comes out and says, no. You have to master the complex sale. And at this point, your head should explode. Like, there's so much information. But don't worry about it, because then we can't forget what? Got to hug our customers. Love them. Victor, it's all about the relationship. Customer intimacy, right? Let them know we care. And so you read that and you're like, okay, I understand relationship selling. No, you don't, because apparently you got to buy that book to understand the first book, right? Understanding relationship selling. And even that's not good enough, because apparently it has an edge. You got to find an edge to work within the boundaries of selling. So if all this is confusing you, by the way, how many know-it-alls do I have? Clap your hands. She was so excited, like, yes, I am the know-it-all. I am the know-it-all. You over there, right? But let me ask you a question. Even if you knew it all, if I can show you 2 or 3 things to help you increase your sales, would that be cool? Yes or no? All right. And all of a sudden, we got know-it-alls. There it is, the official know-it-all guide to relationship selling. You read that, and you're like, Now, if all this is frustrating you, don't worry, because then you read this. Yes. The microwave society has arrived, right? The 1-minute salesperson, bam. The problem is you got all this stuff in your head, and sometimes you don't know how to use it, right? It's just too much stuff, too many different systems. It's too complicated. And I started looking at this and going, this is a problem. Because many of these books don't take one big thing into account. That the internet has changed everything. Would you agree? Yes or no? Sales will always be known as pre-internet and post-internet. Today's consumer is smarter. They know more. And would you also agree that today's client is more knowledgeable, more demanding, more sophisticated, more cautious? Yes or no? They're also less tolerant, less accessible, and what? Less trusting. Do we deal with that all the time? Yes or no? This is what we're dealing with. But if we apply the old sales tactics of old, it's not going to work. That's maybe why some of you are frustrated when you can't close a deal. When you look at the folks underneath you and you're trying to train them, maybe they're frustrated because, again, we're using outdated techniques. To which you should ask, Victor, do you have a better way? Your answer should say what? Yes. So I started looking at the other side of the equation. Is how do people buy? See, because if we understand how people make a buying decision, we no longer have to sell. We no longer have to pressure people. Do you like being pressured into buying something? Yes or no? No, and neither does your clients, right, or potential prospects. So I started looking at what motivates a buyer. How do they make buying decisions? And during my conversations, are there moments of influence where I can move them in my direction? Would you like to know how? Yes, cool. All right, I got 4 killer sales apps. I'm going down for this one. I understand that, right? So what I want to do, I want to share 4 apps with you. 4 apps. Okay, you ready? Now, I don't usually share my 4 killer sales apps with just anybody, but I'm going to share it with you for one reason and one reason only. What's that? Love you. By the way, how many folks have never seen me before live? Clap. Leave the room. All right, 4 killer sales apps. Here we go. The first one is find their why. See, too often we just want to present our products. Some people have there's diarrhea of the mouth and then there's plexus of the mouth sometimes, right? Blah, 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 plexus, blah, 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 plexus, blah, plexus, right? And the guy's like, whoa, chill with that. Relax. Because before you open your mouth to talk about your product, the first thing you need to understand is what motivates them. And there's 3 things that will motivate your buyer. See if you agree. The first one is Making money. Wealth. Maybe that prospect is about what? Making more money. Is there anything wrong with that? Yes or no? No. Look, I am so coin operated, it ain't funny, right? It's like put a coin right here, I start doing things. You know, that's it. Because it's about wealth, it's about making money. But maybe they're not interested in making money. Maybe it's about what? Wellness, right? So now maybe it's diabetes, fibromyalgia. So maybe that's the approach. Or maybe it's weight. So here's what I want you to start thinking. Before you open your mouth to talk to somebody and just try to give them the whole spiel, what I want you to do is talk to them and find out which of the 3 W's is your angle of attack. Now, this is interesting because if I'm talking to one-on-one, I'm talking to this wonderful young lady right here, and I look at her, she's obviously not overweight. So in my mind, I go, that's not my angle, right? But then I'm going to ask her questions, and I find out she's a stay-at-home mom. Husband works. You with me so far? Husband works. She's a stay-at-home mom. What does your husband do? Where does he work? Oh, so does he have a health care plan? She's probably going to say, yes, he does. Do you guys use it much? She goes, no, we're healthy. He's healthy. I'm healthy. The kids are healthy. Not a big deal. What did I just disqualify? It's not about wellness now. So what is the one thing left? Maybe she wants to make more money being a stay-at-home mom. Would you agree with that? So now I know that what I call the point of the spear, how I approach it is really at that angle. Is everybody with me so far? From this day forward, which of the 3 W's, when you look at a person, see the triangle over their head, okay? And then I know it's a visual, right? And you rotate the triangle to figure out which one it is. Do not talk about your product until you know which of the W's is interesting to them. Everybody with me, yes or no? All right, now, sometimes we just want to talk. You got to understand, people buy differently today. And if you just try to sell them, they're going to push back. So I want you to practice empathy. Now, there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. Let me give you a visual so you'll never forget. You're on a deck of a boat. Some person stumbles by, goes over by the banister, and starts to puke his guts out over the side. And you say, damn, that must hurt. That's sympathy. Now, if you went over there and you puked with them, that's empathy, right? I need you to start throwing up with people when you're talking to them. I mean, not, You know what I mean? Because you have to understand what they're going through. And sometimes what we don't do is we're so busy talking, we don't listen. Is listening hard? Yes or no? Here's why listening is hard. It's not our fault. It's just the way the brain works. Is that we speak at about 120 to 150 words per minute. Unless you're me or you're from the East Coast, right? It's a little faster than that. But here's the interesting part. The brain processes information at that speed. You ever notice how somebody's talking and you're listening? You're trying to listen. And externally, you're like, yes, tell me more about that. And then they're talking, and inside, you feel like a newborn baby with a rubber neck. Oh, my God. Jesus. This is you inside, by the way. But you're like, tell me more about that, right? It's hard. But here's why listening pays off. I use this statement, I love this phrase. To sell faster, you need to slow down. Are you with me? To sell faster, you need to slow down. So here's why listening works. Let me give you the psychology behind it, because if you understand the psychology, you're able to explain it to your team. Here's why it works. When I'm listening, I do what I call active listening. I don't just go, yes, no. I said, tell me more about that. Really, I never knew you could do that. Why would you do that? How did that happen? And what am I doing? Asking for what? More information. And the more information I ask from the person I'm talking to, what is that person starting to feel? Wow, Victor is really listening to me because he's asking these nice questions, right? And now they get this sense of validation. Wow, he's really listening to me. He's not just trying to sell me, he's really listening and asking me good questions, empathetic questions. And because they get a sense of validation, their self-esteem rises. And they feel good about themselves. And because they feel good about themselves, they now associate that good feeling with who? You. You ever have that one friend, that one person in your life who you just love to talk to, right? Every time you get together with them, what happens? You have a good time, you're talking to them. Now, here's what's interesting. Do you ever have those conversations where you go for 2 to 3 hours just talking with a friend? And you're like, oh my God, we've been here 2-3 hours. You ever have that? Clap, just to make sure you're with me, right? Here's what happens in that conversation. If I were to put a third eye on that conversation, what just happened is, if I were to analyze that conversation, you were doing like 80% of the talking. And they were just what? Listening. And you were like, that was such a great conversation. Yeah, because you were talking most of the time. But that's why listening is important. People feel good about that. Now, you ever run across somebody who just talks too much? And what do you do the next time you see them? Whoa. What, you do that, right? We have to listen. So listen is one thing, right? But also you have to ask great questions. The average salesperson practices what to say. The superior salespeople practice what to what? See, because when you ask questions, you control the conversation. You control the thinking. And if I ask the questions in such a way, is it possible to guide people to an outcome I've already predetermined? Yes or no? Let me say it slowly because I really want you to get this. It's too important. If I know how to ask questions, is it possible to guide somebody to a conclusion I've already predetermined? Yes or no? I think you doubt me, which means I have to prove it. Everybody got a sheet of paper, pen? Break it out real quick. If you don't have it, I'm going to do an exercise right now. I'm going to go real fast. Ready? Say yes. Yes. All right, listen carefully. Don't let your neighbor see what you're writing. Just hide it. I want you to write down a number between 2 and 10. Go ahead, write it down. A number between 2 and 10. Write it down. Okay? You got it? Take that number, multiply it by 9. Take that number, multiply it by 9. You should now have a 2-digit number. If you have a single-digit number, leave the room because you're lost. Right? Now, take those 2 digits and add them together. You should now have a single-digit number. Write the number down. You got the number? Now, do me one subtract the number 5 from that number. You should have a new single-digit number. Do you have it? Now, that number corresponds to the letter of the alphabet. If it's 1A, 2B, if it's 3, it's C, 4D, 5E. Write the letter down. You got the letter? Now, tough question. I want you to think of a European country that begins with that letter. Write the country's name down. Okay? Oh, I can see some of you failed geography. Right? For those of you who are still with me, do you got the country name down, yes or no? All right, look at the second letter in that country. Look at the second letter in that country. Do you see it? Now, think of a large land mammal that begins with that letter. A large land mammal that begins with that letter. Write it down. Write the name of that mammal down. You got it? Last thing. What's the color of that mammal? Write it down. Write down the color of that mammal. You guys got it? Now listen carefully. Clap if this makes sense. There are no gray elephants in Denmark. Genius. Genius, Victor. You are just so awesome. Right? Okay, you guys had that, right? See, by literally planning out what I wanted to ask, I had you arrive at a conclusion I already predetermined. Is that cool, yes or no? Practice what you're going to ask. Don't just go in there and... Got it? All right. The second app, I call this my bucket app, right? Now, this is for your mindset. This is so you just don't get messed up. Now, here's the market. I like to simplify things because sometimes I think we make things more complicated than they need to be. In life, there's only 3 types of customers you want to talk to, right? And I want you to start putting people into one of these 3 buckets. There are people, 20% of the population, who basically are concerned. They're concerned with their health. They're concerned with the wealth they're making. These are people that when you present the product in the right way will go, I see the value. You ever have any of those? Yes? You present it, they go what? I get it, right? At the other extreme of I get it are people who are what? Convinced that you're wrong, this doesn't work, it's not for me, MLM, network marketing, I've tried it, it doesn't work. And if you present anything, why would it work this time? Clap if you met those people. Right? These people are convinced that it doesn't work. So what should you do? Here's how you should view this. The next time you run into one of these naysayers, these negative people says doesn't work, here's the visual I want you to have in your head. You ready? Yeah. I'm convinced this won't work for me. And what you're going to do, Alec will never invite me back again. Because you know what you need to do? Is you need to walk away. As soon as somebody says, this won't work for me, what are you going to do? Shut up and walk, because that's the visual. What we're looking for is the group in the middle. That's where the biggest potential is. There are people who are complacent about their wealth. They're complacent about their health and well-being. These are people that if you present the opportunity in a way that they get it and they understand it, you can move them over to the other bucket, which is what we want to do, right? Move that 60% over to what? That bucket. So from now on, when somebody says, I don't like it, I don't like the business, just walk, okay? Because what we're looking for is the other 80%. You with me, yes or no? Yes. Love it. All right. Third application, third app, public equals commitment. Now, this one is so important. This one is actually paradigm shifting. Listen carefully. I'm going to give you an example. And then I'm going to show you how you're going to apply this to your business. So just bear with me just a little bit, okay? So these two guys decided to do a study. And basically what they did, if I can come to this for a little second, what they did is they put on a board. They did these, you ever see those optical illusions with the lines? Hopefully they'll catch up with me. I turn it on. By the way, you need to turn things on first before you operate them. All right? So hopefully it's going. Is it going? Yes? No? Do you see anything? All right. So then what they did is they asked a group. They said they had 3 groups. So let's do this one. Group 1, the middle, you're group 2, you're group 3. Group 1, here's what I want you to do. They show you these lines. I want you guys to estimate the lengths of the lines, right? Just kind of look at them, estimate the length. And I want you to think about the average length. And then I'm going to come back to you, okay? Got it? Do you have it in your brain? Just say yes. Play with me. Got it. All right. So let's say this group right here in the middle. What I want you to do is look at the line. So the first people just had to think of the answer. The second group, what I want you to do right here, I want you to look at the lines, estimate the lengths, and what I want you to do is write your answer down on a magic pad. Who remembers the magic pad? Show your hands. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. Bam. Yeah, remember that? Oh, that was before the iPad. I remember I had like Mighty Mouse, right? That was mine. And so what you're going to do is you're going to write your answers down, your answer, the average length. You're going to write your answer down, and you go, well, what? See, you guys remember that. Yeah, I knew you guys were with me. So that's you. Group number 3, let's say from here on over. What I want you to do, look at the lines, estimate the lengths. But what I want you guys to do is write down your answer on a sheet of paper, sign it, and hand it in to me. You with me so far? Now, they then came back for the second phase. Now, the second phase, I'm going to come back and show you an answer that is nowhere near what you have. You with me so far? Because this is important. Because you're going to understand psychology and buying behavior with this simple example. I then come back to the first group. What did the first group had to do? All they had to do was what? Just think about it, right? When I presented the first group with my answers that I know did not match theirs, what do you think they did? They kind of said, all right, well, okay, you're right, Vic. It's your world. I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut. Go ahead. Right? Now, so they were cool. They were like, whatever, Victor, right? The second group that actually wrote it on the magic pad and went and erased it, when I showed you the answers that didn't match with yours, you pushed back a little bit, a little resistant, but then you kind of said what? Whatever, Victor. It's your world, right? What do you think the group that had to sign it, write it down, sign it, and hand it in? When I showed them the answers that didn't match, what did they do? Screw you, Victor. You're wrong. I'm right. That's what they said. Why? Something very simple, but yet very important. Once you declare something publicly, this is important. Once you declare something publicly, you're less likely to back off that position. Everybody with me? You want to understand politics? It's real simple. I'm a Democrat. As soon as I declare I'm a Democrat, I will look for information to what? Validate my position as a Democrat. If I'm a Republican and I say I'm a Republican, I will do the same thing. If I'm an independent, I will do the same thing. So when people declare something out loud, they're going to stick to it. Everybody with me so far? Because this is important. Because in the next part here, this is where it all kicks in. Tupperware. Can I just bring them up for a little bit? Just a little bit? Because Tupperware people know how to use this rule of if you say it out loud, you're more likely to stick to it. You ever go to like a Tupperware party back in the day? I'm not saying I went to one. I heard about it, right? And so here's how a Tupperware party works, just kind of letting you in on it. So you walk in, and let's say, I don't know, let me pick on Celeste, right? It's at Celeste's crib, mansion, right? It's at her house, her mansion by now, right? And Celeste is like, we're having a Tupperware party, everybody come in. And everybody invites people, right? So everybody invites one person, and we're all sitting in the living room in Celeste's house, right? And this is what they do. Here's what the Tupperware people do that's just brilliant. Instead of starting to talk about their product, what they're going to do is what? Let people talk about it. So here's what they do. So let's say that Celeste brought in Sarah, right? Where's Marble at? Right? They bring her in. She's going to talk about the product, right? Celeste, before she gets going with Sarah, she says to the group, okay, guys, thank you for coming. You guys are real great. How are the hors d'oeuvres? Great, great. That's good, aren't they? Fantastic. Before we get started, what I want to do is this. I said, I want to go around the room. Just everybody quickly introduce yourself and, who are you here with? So you say, I'm with Rhonda, I'm with Sally, I'm with Sonia. This is what I came. I said, so everybody says, here's why we're here, right? Then, here's where the evil, brilliant part comes in. Then, Celeste says, how many people here have Tupperware? And people what? The people who invited somebody said what? This. I said, well, why don't you tell me a little bit about your experience with Tupperware and why you love Tupperware? And so you get up and you say, well, I love Tupperware because, God, you can stack them. It's so much easier. I can manage my cabinet space much better. I really love it, right? Okay, that's one person. How about you? Well, they got this new glass bowl with the little thing, with the glass top. You can see through it, so you can actually see what's in there from leftovers. And I can see what I can reheat. My husband loves that, right? And so you get the idea. And they go around the room, and everybody's what? Giving their testimonial. Now, just stop the movie for a second. Psychologically, what is happening in the room is amazing, if you think about it. The people who are there and don't have Tupperware are now thinking what? Damn, I need some Tupperware, right? But now, the people who declared they love Tupperware have gone on the what? Record, right? Now, Celeste calls up Sarah. Sarah comes up, right? She does just a small little presentation on the new products they're offering. And then she says, whoever's interested in buying some new products, there's a sign-up sheets, right? Now, psychologically, what's happening in the room is the people who declared their testimony for the Tupperware are going to say, well, I'm going to look like a fool if I don't buy something, right? And they're going to go buy something. And then the people who are watching everybody else already are thinking, maybe I should get some, and I should at least buy something, or else Celeste will never invite me to her crib, right? That type of thing. So all of a sudden, if Sarah was the host, did she really do any selling? Everybody convinced themselves. Now, hold that thought because I'll come back to it. Fourth app. Okay, so we talked 3 apps. The first one is find why. It's either about what? Health, wealth, well-being, right? Just go this. This will always remind you of it, right? Health, wealth, well-being, right? And then we know we got 3 types of customers. People who are concerned will buy. People who are convinced they don't need you. What do we do with them? I know, right? And complacent people, we need to convince them, right? Listen, ask great questions. Then we get people to commit. Let me show you how I tie commitment in. The last one has nothing to do with the product, okay? I don't know. This is just a coincidence on the block part, okay? This is just a coincidence. It's not about absorption, 48%, none of that, okay? So this is I just found out about it. I'm like, I'm not changing my presentation now. Like, that's just the way it is, right? Because what I'm about to show you, I really need you right now. At this moment, I really need you to focus. I need all of your attention. What I'm about to show you is so life-changing from a selling standpoint that you'll never have to sell again. Watch. This is a new way of sharing, not selling. How do you reduce buyer resistance in such a way that you're not selling? Do you want to know? Yes or no? Yes. All right. When somebody objects to a sale, what do? Say it out loud. We're taught to what? You have to overcome the objection. Yes, you with me? But wait a minute. I just told you that if somebody publicly states something, the chances of you changing their mind are what? But isn't an objection a public statement? Yes or no? Once people make an objection, Yeah, it's too expensive. That's it. They've taken a position. Network marketing doesn't work. I've tried it before. And as soon as they say that, they've what? Taken a position. So the question is, we don't want somebody to say that. So what we want to do is control the conversation. So what we want to do is not overcome. Overcoming objection is so old school that new school is about what? Blocking the objections. Because if you know how to block an objection, it is amazing how you do it. This system has made me so much money, it is not funny. And I'm going to share it with you. And the only reason I'm going to share it with you is because why? Thank you. All right. How do you block an objection? By raising it. Nothing new there. It's how you put them all to bed. Now, this is a blocking structure. It looks complicated. And by the way, you don't have to write any of this part down. I have a book, an audio. You will get this for free. Is that cool? Why? Yeah. Okay? So, if we know what the objection is, the first thing I want to do is raise the objection. I want to offer to resolve it. Then I'm going to show them something, demo something, and then I'm going to tie it down. Tie down not the sale, I'm going to tie down the objection. Here it is. Let me just give you an example. If I were to ask you right now, if we were huddled in a room just kind of brainstorming, and I said, what are the top 3 to 5 objections you typically get? You could give them to me, right? 3 to 5 objections. So you know that your customer has 3 to 5 objections typically in their head. Some may look like this. Why? Does this look right? Why isn't the product FDA approved? Is it expensive? Will it work for who? I'm not a salesperson. I really don't want to do this. It just seems hard, right? And the last one is what? I've tried it, so why is this different? Now imagine that you're walking into a little meeting with 10 people, and now you know that those objections are there in their head. Bad selling is to ignore the objections and wait for them to come up. Old school, new school is we're going to control the conversation by what? Raising the objections ourselves. So if I know, here's what I would do. First, I write out typical objections I get. Leaders, this is what I want you to do with your team. I'm giving you a system to put in place. List out the typical objections you get. Step number 2, you're going to use a blocking structure to develop a script. What you're going to say. Don't get intimidated. It's this easy. What you're going to say, let's say that I just start out a meeting, and I know one of the objections is, why isn't this FDA approved if it's so good? Right? Now, you know the elephant's in the room. You know the elephant's in the room. Deal with it. Deal with it intelligently. Don't wait for somebody to go, why isn't FDA approved? Because as soon as they say that, what happens? Here's what happens. Let me give you a vision. It's powerful. You got 10 people in the room. The presentation, you ever have a presentation that's going really well? Do you know what I mean? It's that presentation that's just fluent. It's so good that even you're impressing yourself in your head, like, damn, I'm good, right? That's your little person. Wow, I am really good, right? And then and then you say something like, whoa, that sounded brilliant. You know, and you start talking to yourself while you're presenting, right? And you tell your little person, shut up, I'm trying to present, right? That whole thing. It's a little multiple personality, but you understand. But then the presentation's going well, and then my friend here, you yell what? You yell what? Yeah, he said, why isn't FDA approved? Stop. He just took a what? A position, a stance, right? The other 9 people were enjoying the presentation until he said something. And now, what are they thinking? Why isn't FDA approved? Maybe I should make a decision right now. I think I'll hold off on that. What he just did is poison the room. Would you agree? So you don't want that. So what you're going to do is say something like this. You're going to raise the objection. You're going to say, you know, one of the questions I always get is, if it's so good, why isn't it FDA approved? Valid question, right? That's what you're going to say. It's that simple. I just raised the objection. I'm dealing with the elephant. Then I'm going to resolve it. Well, let me answer that question by showing you a few things, right? And then what you do is you go through your demo part, right? At this point, you can show some slides or a jar of vitamins, right? I'm just giving you a simple example. I said, let me ask you a question. And thank you, Molly Orr, for this example, right? Wherever Molly's at, holla, right? And so what you can do is say, here's a vitamin. Is this FDA approved? People are going to go, no. Is this one FDA approved? No. Third one? No. So in other words, for something to be good for you, does it really have to be FDA approved? Yes or no? As soon as they said no, did I just tie down that objection? Now, what the beauty of that is, you've just dealt with it, you closed it, you put a lock on it, it's done. So by the time you get to the end of your presentation, that is no longer an objection for them not moving forward. Is that cool? Yes or no? Now, let's put it all together. When you're doing this, when somebody raises a question you have, it reduces their resistance because you're like, well, I'm glad she brought it up because I was kind of like, I didn't want to ask, right? So you're reducing resistance, right? And then here you're just building credibility. But here's what's interesting. So I list the objections, 3 to 5. This is how you're going to train your team. I'm telling you, this works. Then you're going to write out these little response block structures. Just a simple script. Did that script look simple? Yes or no? Simple script, right? The last part is you're going to build your presentation accordingly. I want you to look at your presentation. And let's pretend for a moment that it's a 45-minute presentation you typically give. A little long, if you ask me. But let's just use that as an example. What I want to do now is look at my presentation and look at the sequence of it and ask myself, where am I blocking each of these objections I know that's in the audience? I got 45 minutes to do it. So maybe in the first 5 minutes, I bring up the FDA approved. And I what? Block that objection. When you first talk to somebody, the resistance is always high, yes or no? And so when you block that first objection, you'll feel like, I'm glad he brought it up. Then you're going to block the second one. Is it too expensive? Many people tell me that joining organizations like this may be too expensive. Let me walk through some simple things, right? Okay, get the idea? And you walk them through the price structure. Then you bring up the next one. Will it work for me? Another question I get is, will it work for me? And again, you walk them through the script and you do it. And you can feel it. You can feel it going down. This is guaranteed to work. You do the fourth one. You're not a salesperson. You deal with that when you talk about people who haven't been salespeople. It's not about selling. It's about what? Sharing. That's what we do. And the last part is, how is this different? Let me walk you through that. But you're dealing with the objections, which means you're controlling the conversation. Fellas, let me just talk to the fellas, because the fellas will get this. Fellas, you ever come home, and then, I don't know, you stayed at the bar just a little too long, or whatever it may be, you played golf too long, and you come home, and your wife's like, where you been? Immediately, what do? Well, okay, so here's what happened. So I'm with Bill. Right? And he says, let's go. Yeah, I didn't want to, but he wanted to do that, right? And so I'm looking at this going, I don't want to go with you. I got to get home. I love my wife. I told him that. He knew that, but he didn't care. But I said, okay, I'll have to drive myself home. And so guys, what are you doing? You're like, mentally, you're what? Backpedaling. This is what happens when a customer asks you a question, like one of these objections, and now you find yourself what? Explaining yourself. And when you're explaining yourself, are you winning or losing the conversation? You are losing it, guys, right? Because you're like, So when customers ask you something, you're like, But what if we control the conversation by what? Raising the objections. Cool, yes or no? If you reduce the resistance, you'll get to the point where there's a what? The buy-in line. Get the idea? Now, what's interesting is that as I stand up here, I can feel your objections. I'm going to give you a live demo. I'm going to stop my own presentation, and I'm going to block one of your responses right now. Ready? Watch this very carefully. Right now, you're thinking, really? I mean, really, Victor? You're thinking this. Victor, does this really work? Just do the alligator arm race if you're thinking that. Right? Right? You're in Florida. You can do it. Right? See, I know that's what you're thinking right now. I know. So do I wait for somebody to say, Victor, does this really work? No. I'm going to block the objection from the stage. It's like a live demo within a presentation. That's a demo. Got it? Good. So listen carefully. Plexus peeps. This is me talking now through the script. It says, right now you may be thinking, Victor, does this work? In fact, will it work for us? Victor, because we're Plexus. We're pink and we're different. I know you are. I know you are, right? All right, so that's what you're thinking right now. So I say that, and you're like, yeah, I was thinking that too. Will it work for me? Now I say something like this. I understand your hesitation. I get you. I understand. So let me go ahead and show you someone who thought the same thing but decided to use this. So now I go into my demo. What's the demo? I got to show you something now to prove to you that This can work. You guys ready for it? It is now time for, just do a little stomping with the feet like a drum roll. It is now time for a pleximony, right? Come on, that was awesome. That was awesome. Come on. I worked the plexus word in there, right? So here's the story. So now my demo is a story. So I'm in Dallas, minding my own business after the presentation. This annoying person named Molly comes up to me. I love Molly. She knows I'm messing with her. Molly comes up to me. This whole group is talking to me, right? And we start talking. And they're in Vegas, right? And I go to Vegas. I hate Vegas because I don't gamble. I love the shows. Love the Cirque du Soleil. Woohoo. That's it. But I'm typically bored. I've been there 6 or 7 times this year. I'm bored with Vegas. I said, look, next time I'm in Vegas, we'll do something. I'll do a little house training, so to speak, right, with your team. So we did that, right? And so that is Meredith, a.k.a. the Plexus Photo Bomber, right? So we're in this room, and I'm walking them through everything we're talking about right now. Right? So they start, again, implementing this. But don't take my word for it.
Hosting an opportunity meeting is a
1-minute video.
great way to engage with people and educate them about the products and about Plexus. I'm Molly Orr, Emerald Ambassador with Plexus Worldwide, and today we're going to learn how to host an opportunity meeting with a very unique format. About a month ago, my team here in Vegas had the amazing opportunity to have a private mentoring session with Victor Antonio, who is a motivational speaker and sales guru. And he gave us a few tips on how to run a meeting. And so I went home that night and changed our entire format. And now I'm going to share that format with you. I am so excited to teach this technique to our team because I really think it's what we need to get things moving, get more people engaged, and truly educated. So get a pen and paper. We're going to take a lot of notes. I'm actually going to go through my PowerPoint presentation with you and show you how to let your guests actually run the meeting for you while you simply facilitate. You sit back and you let them share. You let them do the selling without them even knowing it. And before you know it, everybody's going to be jumping on board. Since we started this new format, we have had a 100% sign-on rate. I am so excited to share this with you, so let's get going.
Give it up for Molly. All right? Folks, Molly's not going to have a resting moment now. Like, what'd you do, Molly? Right? Now, I just showed you that, and I'll say, can you now see how it will even work for you? And you'll say what? Yes, Victor. Right? You get it. Is everybody with me on this? This works. And again, what I'll do is I will email a link, a personal link. In fact, if you want to write, now I'll send the link to Alec and he'll send it to you guys, okay? And I'll post it on my Facebook. So my Facebook peeps, yep, right? So that would have the book and the audio, and I'll also put a PDF copy of this presentation. Cool? Yeah. All right. By the way, I want to highlight Molly, but there's other people in Plexus who are doing really great things online, and I really think you should follow them. Yeah. Tanya in the house. She's somewhere, right? Great stuff. Nicely done. Also, Sarah Marble. Again, and then my personal, Tony, showing you love here. We did a webinar with Tony, right? It was a great webinar. There's 3 of these online. There were 3 sessions we did. All 3 are online. All this material is online for you. Direct your people, your downline, to really look at this information. It's free, folks. Everybody with me? Cool. All right. By the way, that's my YouTube channel. So if you want to sign up for my YouTube channel, you'll get the updates. I try to put a video or 2 videos, 1 or 2 videos every other day or something like that, okay? So that's it. Just sign up if you like. And these are the 4 apps I gave you. Let's go through them real quickly. I know I'm repeating myself because I really want you to get it. The first one is when I'm talking to somebody, what am I imagining over their head? And it's about what? That's it. And until we identify the angle of attack, so to speak, how do we approach them? We don't talk about the product. The second is there's 3 buckets. We know what that is already, right? 80% of the people are interested in what you have to offer. You work for a great company, great product. By the way, give it up for Alec and Taro, man. They just do. Yep. Public commitment. We don't want people to say something because they'll what? Stick to it. The last one is if we can now sequence how we talk to people and just block. By the way, my wife does this to me. She'll come up to me and says, sweetie, I know you don't want to go out to eat because you just got back from traveling. She just raised the objection. I said, but if I can show you a restaurant where I know there won't be a long line, would you at least be open to considering it? I said, what do you mean? Which one? And then she goes, here, on the internet. And she'll do this to all the time. That's what women do to us. That's why I love you. Right? All right. I want to talk about this guy. So, we're living in, anybody from Minnesota? All right, chill, relax a little bit. Just, yeah. That's because you're not in the cold right now. That's why you're excited. Yeah, I mean, I spent New Year's Eve up there, and oh my God, I could feel the wind coming through the building. We were in Cold Spring, Minnesota, near St. Cloud. And then, yeah, for sure, you betcha. Louis de Fils and left, so yeah. And so we move, and you guys know I'm married, right? 26 years. My wife couldn't make it. We were up a week and a half or two. We were in Naples, and she's like, let's not do that again, type of thing. So she wished she could be here. One day you're going to meet her eventually. But very nice lady, very Minnesotan. And so we bought this small house. When we first started, we bought this little Rambler house, right, in Brooklyn Center to be specific, right? And I had a neighbor. His name was Harold. Now, Harold had like these bird feeders, right? Because that's what Minnesotans do. They're just like bored during the summer, right? So they just want to feed birds, right? And so Harold would get mad because squirrels would always eat the what? The food. And he'd get really mad. He'd be out there just trying to like shoo them off. Shoo, right? Right? And so one day I see Harold out there. Now, Harold's about 80 years old. Moves like this. But he moves. And he's out there, and where he's got the bird feeder, he's greasing up the tree. Just greasing it up. To which I said, that is disturbing, one. I said, but Harold, what are you doing? So his philosophy was that if he greased up the what? The trunk, the squirrel wouldn't what? Be able to get up. But guess what? The next day, food was gone, right? So Harold, let's say a week later, now he put one of those funnels downward. You ever see the dog funnels this way? They put them down. Just clap if you know what I'm talking about so I don't feel alone here. He puts the funnel downward, right? Thinking that's going to stop the squirrel. Squirrel got the food. And then I remember he actually cut jagged pieces, at the edge of the funnel. Oh, it was getting serious. It was going down. Now, he was getting serious. Let's take it to another level, right? But that squirrel just kept what? Eating the food, right? Now, every year was the same thing. Every year, Harold lost. Why? Why did the squirrel always win? You got to understand the mindset of a squirrel. Because all the squirrel is thinking, 24/7, 365 is what? How do I get that food? That is called focus. Because when you're that focused, nothing can stop you from reaching whatever level you're trying to achieve within this organization. Are you with me? Now, because I've given you great information, fantastic information. I'm even impressed with myself. Right? But I know what's going to happen. Studies have shown this to be true. You're going to suffer what is known as the motivational dip. The motivational dip works something like this. And I'm making you aware of it because I want you to push through the dip. Here's what happens. Right now, I've given you some cool information. You're like, wow, this is so cool, right? Now your enthusiasm is like right here. Like, oh, you've just acquired new knowledge, and you're the little ball right there, right? And Victor's giving you some new information. And you're like, this is brilliant. Genius. Maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but that's just me. But you're like, oh, this is so good. I'm going to what? Use it, right? Now, you're going to leave here, and you're going to begin to implement it. And what do you think is going to happen the first time you try it? As they say in the South, it ain't going to go well, right? Because it's not going to, when you first try it, it just seems uncomfortable. When you try something new, it feels what? Weird. It's not me. And here's where we separate the wheat from the chaff. Because the winners will figure out that if they push through the dip, figure it out, eventually they'll start seeing what? The results, which is what you want. So when you find yourself trying new strategies and you feel yourself in the dip, remember this conversation because you don't want to be a what? Dip. Everybody with me? All right. So I'm going to start closing out because my time is almost out. Did you guys learn a lot? Yes or no? Was it good stuff? Yes or no? All right. Shall we do it? Get on your feet. Here we go. We're going to take the pledge. New people are like, what? All right. So we get in this thing. Fingers up in the air. I pledge allegiance to my thing. Just for the people who have never seen me before. That was thang, not what? Thing. Good. You got it. Now, there's a fundamental difference between a thing and a what? When you do a thing, you don't like it, you're not into it, you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. You have a JOB, which stands for what? Just over broke, because that's what you'll always be when you do a thing. So we don't want to do a thing, we want to do a what? Man, because when you do your thing, and when it's a plexus thing, things get real good, real fast, right? Because all of a sudden we're in the groove. Are you with me? We're doing what we want to do. Are we helping people? Yes or no? Yes. We're helping people. We're making money at the same time. Quid pro quo, this for that. I love that. What do you say? Yes. All right, fingers back up. I pledge allegiance to my plexus thing. Man, look at your thing. Let it know you care. To my thing. I will rise above. Doing what I love. I will make that dough. You guys always get happy on that part, right? I will make that dough. Doing what I know. And those who laugh. Louder like you mean it. And those who laugh. Can kiss my assets. Plexus, thank you. You guys have been great. Love you. Thank you. That's that.